Look at this flower. It's a perfectly ordinary rose. Now imagine a place where the flowers were. Completely different. About 300 years ago, there was a secluded greenhouse in England. It was visited by the wealthiest people of that time. Today, you will hear a thrilling science fiction podcast based on a story submitted by a channel subscriber.
Pour yourself some coffee or tea, sit back, and put your houseplants away. They might not be as harmless as they seem.
Today, we are setting aside the usual history and market trends. We're jumping headfirst into pure narrative.
Science fiction account, actually.
Exactly. Yeah. Sent in by a subscriber, and it's this. Well, it's a chilling, incredibly detailed historical mystery that just sounds impossible. Right. So our mission today is to really unpack this story of a very exclusive and very terrifying garden.
It's a fascinating one. It forces you to look at this collision of, extreme wealth and just unimaginable horror. We're setting the scene over 300 years ago, so think early modern period, probably in England.
And we're talking about a huge conservatory, right?
What?
Architecturally beautiful.
Oh, magnificent. A hothouse built not just for plants, but for showing off the unbelievably rare.
When you say exclusive, you really mean it. The source is very clear that access wasn't just expensive.
No, not at all.
It was for the absolute elite, the hyper-wealthy, a totally closed-off world.
Exactly. The whole setup, the security, it all just screamed money and secrecy. But the real star of the show, the reason for all that secrecy, was what was inside.
Right. And the centerpiece, the thing the source focuses on right away, is this flower, a flower that's easily over 4 meters high.
That's, what, 13 feet?
13 feet tall, and it was constantly moving, just swaying, even when there was no breeze.
It must have been mesmerizing. It's described as this vibrant, intense red, but the colors were always shifting.
Fluid, almost.
Yeah, like it was alive, moving from deep crimson to scarlet. But the thing that would have gotten you as a visitor was the scent.
Ah, the aroma.
An incredibly powerful, beautiful smell. The source specifically compares it to a rare, very expensive rose.
Okay, so that's the ultimate hook, isn't it? A giant moving plant that smells like paradise.
Yeah.
So why are we calling this a high-stakes historical mystery? It sounds beautiful.
Because under that perfect floral disguise was a patient, highly evolved, and completely ruthless predator.
So the beauty was the camouflage.
It was the entire operation. The sensory perfection is what let this horrific system run totally undetected for decades.
Okay, let's get into that. The lure. The source says the conservatory had lots of other plants too. Syringa.
Which is just a common lilac.
Right. And then these other flowers described as black and deep purple. But the air, it never got heavy.
And that's the genius of it. The smells didn't clash, they didn't become repulsive, they wove together.
Creating this intoxicating blend.
A perfect non-repellent lure. It was designed to keep you there, breathing it all in.
And the person behind all this was making an absolute killing.
Huge profits. The fees for a single viewing were enormous. But the source suggests it wasn't just about the money.
He had a darker motive.
He had this really twisted philosophy. He saw himself as a cleaner, a purifier.
The cleaner of what?
Of people. In his mind, the poor, the needy, anyone society overlooked. They were just, cluttering up the earth.
Wow, so he's using this exotic hobby to carry out a grim social experiment.
Exactly, weeding out the undesirables while the rich pay to admire the tools of the trade.
And we're talking about real life forms that needed some very specific and chilling inputs. Yeah. The documents call them living, sentient creatures.
And their needs were specific right from the start. As saplings, when they were small, they couldn't just survive on water.
So what do they need?
They needed human blood, poured directly on the roots. It was the only way they would grow.
That's grim. For just the small plants.
For the babies, yeah.
So that leads to the really terrifying question. If the small, struggling flowers needed human blood just to take root, what on earth did the massive 4-meter giants demand to keep on living?
That's where it pivots from grim to industrial-scale horror. The answer is whole human beings.
The sheer size required a much bigger meal.
A much, much bigger meal.
So let's talk about the mechanics of that, the actual feast, that towering red flower.
Yeah.
How did it work?
Okay, so when it was feeding time, the petals would open up and form this massive, deep funnel, almost like a vortex. A huge mouth. And into that funnel, body parts were dropped, or as the flower got bigger, whole bodies were just tossed in.
And this wasn't a slow process, was it? The speed was key to the whole operation staying secret.
Absolutely. The flower secreted this. The sticky slimy liquid, a digestive agent, and it was almost instant.
Instant? What did it do?
It broke down everything, all the soft tissue, and even the bones. It turned the entire human body into a kind of thick slush.
A nutrient slush for the roots.
Yeah.
But wait, if you're dissolving bodies, bones and all, wouldn't the place reek? It would smell like a slaughterhouse.
And that is the absolute core of the deception, the perfect odorless crime.
Oh.
Despite all of this constant gruesome digestion, the conservatory only had that beautiful floral fragrance. The digestive process itself somehow completely neutralized any smell of blood or decay.
So the beauty wasn't just the lure. It was the shield.
It was a perfect alibi.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And this wasn't just one monster flower. The owner had, diversified his portfolio?
Oh, yes. There was specialized horror. Besides the big red one, there was a purple and black flower. The source says it had these bright red moving spots that look like eyes.
Like a dragon.
Exactly. Looked like a coiled dragon, and it fed on adults, just like the red one.
But then there's a detail that it ratchets the horror up to a whole other level.
Yes. There was another species that looked, pretty harmless, like a cabbage with small red and yellow flowers.
And what did that one eat?
The narrative is very clear on this. It fed exclusively on infants and babies.
Oh, my God. That implies a whole different, horrifying supply chain.
A highly specialized one. It shows you how committed the owner was to his sick philosophy.
The logistics of this for over 20 years.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling. Which brings us to the guests, the wealthy patrons.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have any idea they were walking through a chamber of horrors?
No. The system was designed to keep them completely in the dark. The chosen few, as the source calls them, were totally oblivious.
So the flowers didn't physically attack them, at least not there.
No, the attack was much more subtle. The payment was, let's call it an energy tax.
What does that mean?
The attack was a siphoning of their vitality. The source says the love of beauty, that intense visual focus on the plants, it literally drained their personal energy.
Through their eyes.
Through their eyes, through their admiration. It's an insidious idea.
So what happened to them? What were the symptoms?
Well, they'd leave the conservatory feeling great, but days later they'd be hit with this extreme fatigue, just no strength at all.
And because it was delayed, they never made the connection.
Never. They'd blame it on stress or catching a chill or, some mysterious illness. They never pointed the finger back at the beautiful flowers they'd paid a fortune to see.
It's the perfect addictive loop. The beauty draws them in, makes them feel special, and the side effects are completely deniable.
And they kept coming back, which guaranteed the owner his income and, I guess, a secondary energy source for his plants.
And the source adds another layer, doesn't it? It wasn't just the visit.
Right. Even just talking about the visit later, remembering the colors, that incredible smell that apparently continued the energy drain, the memory itself was weaponized.
And this went on for over 2 decades.
Over 20 years.
And the throughput. The
Yeah.
source gives a number, right? How long a single body would last.
It does. A single human would sustain one of the large flowers for only about 5 days.
5 days. So if he had, say, 20 big ones,
Which is probably conservative.
he would need dozens of people every single month for
What?
20 years, nonstop.
It just underlines how central that twisted, cleaner philosophy was to the whole enterprise. It was an extreme and constant resource requirement.
So what finally brought it all down? Did someone find out?
No, nothing like that. After more than 20 years, the system collapsed from the inside.
The flowers themselves.
They began to change. They became uncontrollably aggressive. They started attacking the gardeners, the staff, anyone who came near them.
So upkeep became impossible. But why? Why the change after 2 decades of being relatively passive feeders?
The narrative attributes it to them reaching a kind of critical mass or a certain size here on Earth. They adapted to our environment, and that adaptation made them volatile, predatory beyond just needing to be fed.
They got too big for their cage.
Essentially, yes.
This brings up the obvious question. If these aren't from Earth, where did they come from?
And this is where the narrative takes a huge science fiction leap.
Oh.
The source alleges they are from other planets, brought here by specialized traders.
Okay, hold on. We're talking 300 years ago. Interworld trade. How?
The source describes merchants who could use portals in their own physical bodies.
Portals in their bodies. Not a machine. An innate ability.
It implies an innate ability, a biological method of interdimensional travel. It suggests our history, even back then, was, well, a lot weirder than we think.
So the original merchant, the person who sold these things,
Yeah.
They knew about the feeding requirements, obviously.
Right, that was part of the sales pitch.
But they completely missed the fact that the plants would turn into uncontrollable monsters once they matured on Earth.
Exactly. The aggression was an unforeseen side effect of them, well, thriving in our environment.
So when the staff, now terrified, tried to just lock the doors and starve them out, what happened?
The flowers reacted. With sound?
What kind of sound?
A horrifying sound. A long, high-pitched whining noise of pure hunger. The source says it felt like a drill in your head.
So these beautiful things had a vile, repulsive voice.
The ultimate contradiction.
How did they finally stop them?
Brute force. It took a lot of people. They had to be chopped up and then burned to finally end it. A truly dark legacy.
So wrapping this up, what does this story really tell us? We have a perfect predator that smells like paradise, but is actually a silent, horrifying monster.
I think the main takeaway is about unintended consequences. It's a cautionary tale about, well, interworld trade, I suppose.
Yeah.
The initial pitch was incomplete. It didn't account for how a new planet would change the asset and turn it into a massive liability.
And this was happening, allegedly, 300 to 350 years ago. So here's a final thought for you to mull over. If traders were bringing in exotic, dangerous plants back then, what other aggressive life forms might have been brought to our planet that just haven't yet reached the right size or scale to show their true devastating nature?
A sobering thought.
Something to think about next time you're admiring a particularly strange and beautiful flower.
Indeed. Until the next deep dive, keep questioning the history you think you know.